Greetings and salutations, this is Imperator Vespasian and his trusty sidekick.
Hello.
Today we're having a look at the Lex class of ship, which is a generalised group of ships used by Earth Alliance at the beginning of the Dilgar War and also throughout the Earth Minbari War, although by then they were pretty out of date, really. Yeah, originally the Lex class was the first one to come out, which is a carrier. It was basically designed as a slightly bigger version of the Hyperion, the Earth Force heavy cruiser at the time, and the idea was that the Hyperion could only carry 6 Star Furies, couldn't it?
Mm.
So the idea was to make well, it's almost the same size as the Hyperion. I'll just put the Hyperion out. Is that a Hyperion? No. I'm sure there's a Hyperion in here somewhere. That's the Hyperion. And this was an idea that you could get the Hyperion, bulk it out a little bit, because it is the basic Hyperion shape. They bulked it out a little bit, put a slightly heavier engine on it, and made it into a carrier. And it was to act as a small carrier for the Hyperion. However, it was never up to scratch. It was underpowered.
Damn much stuff on it, really.
No, it's equipped with 24 railguns, which is actually a huge amount of railguns, so it was pretty well armed. Small amount of interceptors, 2 torpedo tubes. So a lot more firepower than a Hyperion, although the Hyperion has better range because it has the pulse gun on it, and it wasn't really fit for purpose. But what it was a carrier that could support the Hyperions, and it could also it had enough railguns to defend itself against incoming fighters. That was the idea behind it. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that good a design though, because it just wasn't up to being able to take on the Dilgar. It's only got 18 structure, which is only 6 more than a Hyperion.
Yeah.
So it can't really take much of a punishment. It's medium armour, not overall good. 2 subsystem safeties, so your fire control is pretty rubbish as well. Not the bestest of designs. Also, because the Dilgar War was coming up, the news the Dilgar War was on its way, they had themselves 300 hulls ready to be made into these carriers. I should also mention that the Gladys came out around the same time. And the Gladys was sticking 2 Hyperions together. I'll show you down here. That's the Gladys, which is basically 2 Hyperions stuck together. And what do the Gladys carry?
4 flights of
Star Furies. This carries 5 flights of Star Furies. The Gladys has more firepower. It's only got 4 railguns, I think. Or is it 8 railguns? But it has got 4 torpedoes. It's got a lot more anti-aircraft guns. And it's just an overall better design. It can keep up with the Gladys. It's as manoeuvrable as a Gladys. It's basically 2 Gladys strapped onto each other. And it does the job that the Lex was originally designed for, the Lex class. So, because they had 300 hulls already in standby, they decided to convert the hulls into more effective warships. So they came up with all of these designs. Which should we go for first?
Let's go for the normal one.
The normal one, which is what? Oh, this, right. So, we have this. We've built 3 of them, and they are, what are they?
The Lex class ship.
No, this is the Lex class.
Well, I haven't got that one, have I?
Yeah.
I have. The Menelaos class cruiser.
Menelaos
class cruiser.
Yeah. This is Lex, but they had the same hull. They had a load of these hulls. They have 300 hulls. They realised that the Gladys was actually going to fulfil the job that they needed, and so they kind of ditched turning them into Lex, and they created this. It still has the underslung docking bay. There's a docking port underneath it. this still has the underslung docking port. So it can still carry a squadron of Star Furies. Is it 2 squadrons of Star Furies, or is it
2 squadrons.
2 squadrons of Star Furies? So it still carries a Star Fury as needed. Also, it has the following armament.
So you already know what the Lex normally has.
Yes.
It has all of them,
Just 24 railguns.
apart from torpedoes. It has 8 heavy laser barriers, 520mm pulse cannons, 12 of them. Lots of missiles on front and sides.
Yeah.
Instead of torpedoes, you have 400mm pulse cannons instead.
Yeah.
That's it.
So
Everything else is the same.
it is actually better than the, theoretically better than the
And
Hyperion. Cheaper, yeah. Slightly better than the Hyperion, although the big addition to it is the lasers here, which is captured from the Dilgar, copied from Dilgar Tech. They fitted lasers to the ship. I think the early versions of this didn't have the lasers, they were added afterwards, hence the side pods. So the original version didn't have the lasers, I think it just had the standard armament, but they did add lasers during the Dilgar War to try and be able to take on heavy Dilgar ships. Didn't really work out for them. It was really a white elephant of a design. It was underpowered, that's the worst thing about it.
Like all early ships.
Oh no, some ships aren't. But I think the best thing about it was the missiles, which led to another design, didn't it?
Yes, the Bikini class nuclear cruiser.
Yes. The nuclear cruiser, which is this baby here. The nuclear cruiser still has the laser batteries attached to the back. They've stripped out all the main guns. It still has the docking bay. Actually, this is no, it doesn't have a docking bay. It has torpedo tubes.
Yes, it's removed all flights of Star Furies.
Yeah.
All weapons besides heavy laser battery.
Yeah.
It has 8 torpedo tubes at front, 12 at the
That's pretty
sides.
good. Yeah.
22 atomic missile pods on the sides, and 66 missiles on each side.
So are they reloadable?
No.
Right. So it's a one-trick pony then.
It is volatile though.
So how much is it?
480.
No, that's not as bad.
But if it gets hit, it will get 2 criticals instead of 1.
Yes, it's volatile, which means I think with nuclear missiles, it doesn't mean they've got atomic weapons in them. It simply means they use depleted uranium to make more impact, to penetrate holes, and then there's a secondary explosion, which is designed to vent atmosphere. They're not that good against Dilgar or anybody really, but they do have that 2 damage.
And they handle that in the next one.
Yeah, well, this is a kind of stopgap.
Yeah, the Solis class communication and resupply ship.
Yeah, this is actually one of my favourites. It's a weird one. All tech ships by Earth Force I like.
Its main job is it gives +2 to subsystem safeties to everyone in 20 centimetres,
Yeah.
and gives you a free tactical card.
Because it has repair drones that fly out from here and repair ships around.
Has no weapons apart from railguns,
Yeah,
2 Star Fury flights, and 2 sets of breaching pods.
yeah. I think it's also the only ship with a docking bay just for breaching pods. Or the first ship to have that. So, out of the designs, I personally prefer using
The normal one.
the Lex and this, because the Lex gives you an extra carrier. So you got a Gladys, you get yourself a Lex, you've got what, 11 squadrons of Star Furies?
Yeah,
11 flight Star Furies, that's pretty good. These will all give you Star Furies as well, but
not many. Some of
Yeah.
them don't actually.
so really it was an attempt. They already had the hulls built, they didn't build any new hulls. So any that are knocking around are knocking around simply because they survived the war. They were found as wrecks. There are still quite a few today flying around though, because a lot of planetary defence forces got scrapped versions of them that would survive battles. Remember, for the Minbari to defeat Earth Force, all they had to do is hold the ship. And then the ship would be vented to atmosphere and the crew would die. Which meant often Earth Force ships would still be intact, but they would be floating with all the crew dead. And so there were a lot of ships that could be salvaged and reused. and Earth Force still has. I don't think actually Earth Force has any of these in commission yet now.
No.
But Planetary Defence Forces do. So you can still get them in the game today because they're still knocking around in the Babylon 5 era as local defence ships, or possibly as Baraelian racers.
Yep.
Another thing about this, this is a nice one. I like it because it's an engineer vessel. It could just give you the engineer bonus. However, it is actually a contemporary of this, which is also an engineering ship. Right, this is based on the hull of the Nova, and it is actually way better than this. So they both came out at the same time, and this is way better. For a start, it has heavy guns on it, this version. This version doesn't. So, and it's also got a lot more missile pods. This is an all-round good ship. This is not very good. But if you need an engineering vessel that's cheap, that'll do it for you.
That's it.
But that's it. So, what is your overall view of these
Not
guys?
Never been a fan. Never been a fan of them.
Never been a fan.
Nope.
I have seen you use the Lex though.
I think it twice.
Yeah, well,
They're cheap.
yeah. So you buy it because it's cheap.
Mhm.
That's it. It's just to fill your fleet out.
You can take a couple hits.
Yeah, again, that 18 hull just doesn't last. Not a pointless ship by any means, but at the time of the Dilgar War, I can see how it could have been seen as a good replacement for the Hyperion, but it never did. Hyperion is just better all round. It's a small, light ship, fast. Yeah, it's a lot more better. So that's it. That's the end of the video for this one.
So if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe and comment down below what you think of the Lex.
It's goodbye from me.
And grab him.
Goodbye.